is falling. So you definitely want to first come in and just mark off that bullish divergence, because what that's going to do is give you a take profit level to look for towards the bottom as this is coming down. Now, what we're looking for here, I see a couple of people in the chat are looking at this. We would be looking for an A1 formation because we're coming off the 21 EMA. You would have been looking for a D1. Let me turn my cursor on. D1 back in here off the 50. But coming off the 21, we need an A1. Now, this strong pullback to the 21 would mean that this right leg, if it was going to be a strong A1 formation, would have to close lower than that, which at that point, it would be a very large 3-candle formation. Could it form? Absolutely. But with this bullish divergence present on the bottom, I would be a little hesitant to go short here until we break and maybe look for the short on the retest. That's where I would be looking to trade this, not from here, just because we know it could hit this divergence line and bounce higher. Bougie to go didn't see the divergence. Yeah, it's here. So you have to still pay attention to it. You should be checking all of your trades for it. Just because you don't see it doesn't mean you shouldn't blow up the RSI and double check. But it's not oversold, so it's not a super strong issue either. You know what I'm saying? It can definitely still come lower today. The bias here is clearly short. Let me make sure I have ADR turned on. See how much space it has. Yeah, it's got a good chunk of space to ADR. So really just this divergence being in the way is the one thing that could slow it down. If you look back, if you just mark off yesterday's low as well, right here, coming off yesterday's low, you can see how that horizontal level was respected, broken. Now this would be trading a retest off that level. So it definitely could come lower. That's why this is on the watch list today. Let's go over to GBP AUD. This was an interesting setup this morning. So when I woke up, James was looking at this in the group chat, potentially to come higher. Market sentiment is ugly today. Buy zone into sell zone. So it's pretty tough to read. Plus, it's still in the Asian range. He was looking at it, talking about it, saying that it could hold at 50 and hold that upshift and continue up here. I definitely saw that. But if you take a look at the 1 minute, there's bearish divergence present here. If I sync this up to the 15-minute side, that's here after it rejected. So if you draw using our 2-candle rule, a resistance zone here, that pin would create the resistance, this pin right here, because the 2 candles to the left and the 2 candles to the right are not higher. So you'd be showing bearish divergence now on the 1 minute inside this resistance zone. Notice it touches the zone a couple more times. Once it finally pulls that L50 down into the sell zone hard, the market sentiment line on the 1 minute down here, it's at about 7:40 in the morning. It retests the 50 EMA in this red circle, and then it ends up shifting down and now making its move, as you can see, lower towards this 200 EMA on the 15-minute beneath it, which was about, if we take a look, about 2R down to that level. So not that the long ideas were bad, but I think once it flipped, especially right here before 8 a.m., once it flipped and looked like it was coming lower with this L50 coming into the sell zone, that should kill any long ideas. Not saying that you want to short this. I'm just marking it up as I would see it. But if you were trying to buy it, this would get you out of all your longs when that market sentiment starts falling. Just get out. Look at the structure here. It's making lower highs. If you blow up just this 1 minute here, you can see off this divergence, it's just making lower highs, lower high, and it continues lower now as the L50 is still holding the sell zone here. So that's why it's moving lower. And it's outside the 8 EMA on the 15 minute. So this could go even lower than the 200 EMA, to be honest. Just might take some time. See how it handles the 200. And this was kind of similar to GBP NZD. GBP NZD we were looking at for longs, just like we were looking at GBP AUD for longs, right? Market sentiment here is much more bullish on GBP NZD versus GBP AUD. But here, it doesn't slow down enough at the 21 EMA. It tries to form a little 2-candle formation in here, but it can't. It ends up coming all the way back down. The 8 and 21 EMA cross down now has kind of killed any long ideas that we're going to get in the next couple of minutes, especially because the market sentiment here on the 1 minute is now in the sell zone and holding. It looks like this wants to continue lower. So it seems like we're catching some GBP pullback here. And I think if you understand how to read a chart similar to how we do in ASFX, you're able to see that the long ideas could have been there, but they were never good trigger signals to get you in long. Whether you decide you want to flip it short, I know some guys probably did short GA. Those are a little bit more advanced moves. That's something that everybody should be working towards, I think. But GBP NZD, GBP AUD, both very similar setups today. And now if you look at GN, this has a lot of space to drop to the 200 if it wants to go all the way down there, now that it's broken the 50. I think that GN, based on the market sentiment line, could hold this area and come higher, maybe forming some divergence here, right? If price dips a little lower, the RSI will be rising, price will be falling. That could be the bullish divergence that sends us up. So it might just have one more pump down. We'll see. this I would keep an eye on too. GA, I think, is kind of done for the day. Now that it's touching the 200, what would you want to do with it down here? Buy it here? That's a pretty terrible idea. Sell it here? You're not off any good EMAs, so this is just kind of done. If you didn't trade it long, good job. If you traded it short, that's good too. But I think it's a tough read on that today. CHF is coming back up here. We still got 3 minutes left in this candle. This is why we always wait for candle closes with A1 formations, everybody. So these are the 3 pairs that have been in focus today. You can see like nothing super great on the trigger signal, but the analysis is there, the trend is there, the bias is there, and now we're just kind of waiting to pick our spots. We don't want to just go in and start throwing entries, you know? How about the 1 minute break before the momentum candle on CHF in here? Yeah, you could be looking for shorts there. Absolutely. If you have divergence in here, which you do, yeah, because price is rising. Yeah, you got it, Jose. You know what you're looking at, Jose. So yeah, I mean, just remember, use the most recent lower high as the stop, and that'll create better risk reward for you too. That one I think is a little tough-ish because that's trading right into that low from yesterday, right into that significant level, right? Hitting right on that. You would be looking to go short here. I guess it'd be on the, maybe you could call it the second push through, but not really. This is the first push down. And now you can see this candle here having a lot of trouble breaking through. Robin said, what about NZD CAD? We can look at that. Mike said, Austin, I want to start on my Forex. What are your thoughts on starting? I can answer that in a second, Mike. Good question. Let's go to NZD CAD really quick. I know one of the guys in the Black Shirt Club was looking at this as well. Yeah, market sentiment on the 15-minute looks good here today. Definitely finding resistance to yesterday's low. You definitely want to mark that off. Just throw a line on the body low, right? Definitely finding resistance there. But if it can hold the 50 and shift back down, you could get a D1 entry later as the day goes on. It's a good market sentiment line. This thing doesn't move very much, only 64 pips. So just keep that in mind. This is one of those pairs that in the afternoon of the New York session, it's closed. These markets are closed, NZD and CAD. So it's very slow normally in the afternoon. Look at how it died off. What would that be? Friday afternoon here. Once you get past like 2 o'clock. This moved on the Omicron virus news. So. Okay, good.